So having looked at evaporative cooling and helium-3, helium-4, what are the differences between helium-3, helium-4? Let us now go and investigate the principle of a dilution refrigerator. The basic principle of a dilution refrigerator is that it has a mixture of helium-3 and helium-4. So let us look at that in a bit more details. What are the properties of a helium-3, helium-4 mixture? If you recall, we have already said that helium-4 is a boson, is a bosonic fluid, and so it will undergo a superfluid transition, a Bose-Einstein condensation into the superfluid state, which happens at about 2.17 Kelvin. This is if you have only helium-4, pure helium-4. But now if you start mixing in helium-4, a bit of the fermionic fluid, He3, helium-3, then actually the superfluid temperature actually starts coming down. The more percentage of helium-3 that you mix in helium-4, the superfluid transition temperature slowly decreases. So this is the superfluid transition temperature of the mixture of helium-3 and helium-4. Above this line, you have a normal helium-3, helium-4 mixture. It's a fluid. It's at low temperatures, but it is not a superfluid state. It is only below this red line, which is the system goes into the superfluid state. Now, this mixture has some additional properties. Namely, suppose you are at some temperature. Let's say you have a mixture of helium-3, helium-4, okay, and you are cooling this mixture along this green line. So let us say that you are starting at 2.17 Kelvin, where you have a mixture of helium-3, helium-4, and at this point the superfluid temperature is at this point for this mixture. So here it is in a normal liquid of helium-3, helium-4, and you are cooling down this liquid. Below this, it goes into the superfluid state, and this is where the properties of the mixture are now very different. It loses all viscosity. It goes into the superfluid state, but this superfluid state is not very important from the point of view of cryogenics, that when you want to generate low temperature. So you still keep on reducing the temperature until you hit this point. Okay. At this point, something else happens into the system. This mixture of helium-3 and helium-4 undergoes a phase separation into a helium-3 rich phase and a helium-3 poor phase. Namely, earlier you had a homogeneous mixture. Earlier in this state you had a completely homogeneous mixture of helium-3, helium-4. But the moment you hit at this point, let me call it as point A, the helium-3 separates out. Okay, and it separates out into two separate phases. One is a helium-3 rich phase, which is mixed in helium-4, and a helium-3 poor phase, which is mixed in helium-4, and a helium-3 rich phase. Namely, for example, suppose you re-hit this point, the system phase separates, where you have 10% of helium-3 which is mixed in helium-4. So once you reach this point, this is the point. So earlier you had a homogeneous mixture of helium-3, helium-4, but once you hit this point at this particular temperature, which is this line, which is shown by this line, once you hit this point, the helium-3 actually separates out into two separate phases. You have one phase in which, let's say, 10% of helium-3 phase is present in 90% of helium-4. Okay, so the mixture consists of 10% helium-3, the remaining 90% is helium-4, and the remaining 90% of helium-3 actually comes on top. Okay, so this is a helium-3 rich fluid. This fluid is a helium-3 rich fluid, okay, where 90% of the helium-3 which was present here has moved out into this helium-3 rich phase, and there is a helium-3 poor phase. So this is the point of phase separation. This is the line along which there is a phase separation. And this is the point which is the most important, which is used for dilution refrigeration and helps us to reach very low temperatures. So once you hit this point A, by cooling the system further and further, you will reach a point at which the helium-3 helium-4 mixture, which was earlier homogeneous above this point A, at temperatures above point A, it was homogeneous. Below this, once you go below this point A, it will phase separate into two phases. One is a helium-3 rich phase and one is a helium-3 poor phase. For example, 10% of helium-3 is the liquid consists of 10% of helium-3 and the remaining 90% is helium-4, and above it lies a liquid which is the remaining helium-3 which has come out, that has collected as a liquid, and it's a pure helium-3 rich phase which is sitting on top of this helium-3 poor phase. The helium-3, as it has much lower density compared to helium-4, it floats as a liquid. This rich phase floats as a liquid on top of the helium-3 poor phase. And you can think of it almost like an oil to water separation, where maybe at some point you had an oil water mixture which was homogeneous, but below a certain point the oil to water separates, oil floats on top, and the water or the other liquid is present at the bottom. So the oil is the rich phase, which is the helium-3 rich phase, and there is at the bottom another liquid which has a mixture of the oil and the other liquid which is at the bottom. Not necessarily water, but some other liquid. That is the analogy what can think what happens at this thing. And this temperature is actually much lower than 0.8 Kelvin. For example, at this point you could be below 0.8 Kelvin. Point A is depending on how much of helium-3 you have mixed in helium-4, this point A can shift, and the minimum amount of the poor phase that you can have of helium-3, the minimum that you can generate of helium-3 mixed in helium-4 is that 6.4% of the liquid has helium-3, the remaining 93.6% is helium-4. This is the minimum that you can achieve as per the phase diagram. This is a very interesting phase diagram. A lot of physics is involved in it. We cannot go into that, but we just want to take the essential interesting features and see how this can help us in understanding how to generate low temperatures. So now what you have is that you have a rich helium-3 liquid phase which is floating on top of a helium-3 poor phase. Here the helium-3 poor phase, which is diluted in helium-4, is shown in blue shade, and the helium-3 rich, the pure helium-3 rich phase, which is the low density liquid, is floating on top of the helium-3 poor phase. Now because of this, what happens is that the molecules of the helium-3 rich phase, the higher energetic molecules of the helium-3 rich phase actually enter into the helium-3 poor phase. It is same like evaporative cooling. It's exactly like evaporative cooling. Only thing is that you have inverted the liquid. Now the helium-3 rich phase, the molecules, you could have thought of the helium-3 rich phase as the bottom, and molecules are evaporating out of this rich phase. But now because of the low density rich phase, you have it on top, and this helium-3 rich phase molecules, the higher energetic molecules which are shown in these red circles, are actually entering into the helium-3 poor phase where there is a low density of helium-3. So again there is evaporation of this helium-3 molecules from the higher energetic molecules from the rich phase are evaporating into this helium-3 poor phase. If we can manage to remove these molecules, which are the higher energetic molecules, from this helium-3 poor phase, then we can obtain cooling. Again, it is evaporative cooling, where we have taken the helium-3 helium-4 mixture into this phase separated state, where you have the helium-3 rich phase sitting on the helium-3 poor phase, and we are going to try and remove the higher energetic molecules from helium-3 rich phase which are entering into the poor phase. If we can try and remove those molecules, then it will lead to cooling of this system. Okay, and that is going to be the principle of the dilution refrigerator. So let us see how is the evaporative cooling of the helium-3 molecules which are entering this mixture in the poor phase. How are they removed? Okay, so this, what you see here, is a brief simplified schematic of a dilution refrigerator, where here on this corner you have liquid helium which is being pumped over, and this liquid helium-4, by pumping over it, you bring it down to about 1 Kelvin. And then you have a line through which you are bringing in pure helium gas. In this region, you have the helium-3, helium-4 mixture, where by cooling it down sufficiently, you have phase separated it, okay, into, you pump over it and you cool it down, and you bring this mixture into the phase separated state, where on top you have the liquid which has helium-3 rich phase, and at the bottom, which is shown in blue, you have the mixture of helium-3, helium-4, and from top you are bringing this helium-3 gas which is entering into this pure liquid. And in this, across this interface, you have helium-4 molecule, helium-3 molecules which are entering this helium-4 pure phase, which is shown in blue, okay, or purple, whatever. Okay, and now this region which has the mixture, the poor phase region, you are connecting, one connects a capillary, okay, and takes it into this region, takes the liquid into this region which is called as a sill. Okay, because this mixture is already in the superfluid phase, by connecting a capillary, the liquid automatically rises. This is a property of the superfluid phase. Because of no viscosity, this liquid can rise into this column and it enters into this sill. Okay, this is called as a sill, where you put a heater. Now this mixture, which has both helium-3 and helium-4, is brought into this region. And because helium-3, helium-4, because helium, you have already seen that any given temperature, the vapor pressure of helium-3 will be higher. So you can start pumping over this mixture and removing the helium-3 from the mixture. There will be more number of helium-3 atoms or sitting on the surface of this liquid, and there is a definitely much higher density. So you are going to remove more helium-3 molecules from this mixture, and furthermore you apply a small heater. With this small heater, you will actually heat this, you will heat this mixture and remove more and more helium. Very slightly you will heat it, and you will remove more and more molecules of helium-3 from this mixture. So the density of helium-3 in this liquid decreases. In this liquid, in this low dense phase, comparatively in this region, in the sill, there is a lower density of helium-3 compared to the region at the bottom in the mixing chamber. And as a result, because of the osmotic pressure difference, the molecules which have entered, the helium-3 molecules which are entering into this, will be actually sucked up, taken up to this region and released into this. And this process continues, and it continuously takes the low energetic, the high energetic helium-3 molecules and takes it into this region and then takes it out to the pump. And in this way you keep on cooling. By evaporative cooling, you start cooling the mixture. The mixture is brought down and can be brought down to a temperature of around 10 milli-K, and this region can be brought down to a temperature of 0.7 milli-K, and this gas which is coming out is again taken back in. It's a closed helium-3 cycle, where you actually keep on circulating this helium-3 gas through the liquid, and you keep on cycling it, and the whole temperature can be brought down to few millikelvin, of the order of 10 millikelvin. Here, if you fix your sample, for example, I am showing here, if you fix your sample on this stage, you can cool the sample down to about 10 millikelvin. And this is the principle of dilution refrigerator. It's a very interesting refrigerator where one uses the principle of phase separation of helium-3, helium-4 in the superfluid state and uses it to actually do evaporative cooling to bring down the temperature. You can read about it in some PDF files which are very simply written. For example, Principles of Dilution Refrigeration, a brief guide from Oxford Instruments. It's a company which actually commercially sells these dilution refrigerator. It's quite nicely written, and in very simple terms it is written. However, this involves a lot of physics, a lot of thermodynamics, a lot of quantum statistical mechanics, which goes into, if you want to really understand the basic principles of this phenomena which occurs. Okay, but it has a lot of applications. As you can see, you can reach very low temperatures through the dilution refrigerator. In the next lecture, we will add one more stage to the dilution refrigerator in order to bring down the temperature even lower. And that forms the dilution refrigerator is already a modern cryogenic technique, and there are even more modern cryogenic techniques which we will discuss in the next lecture.